What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the A24 Archive. This is the series on my YouTube channel where I go back through A24's entire film catalog and talk about their movie from their earliest release to the most current release. So I've been having a lot of fun doing this, and as of recently, most of the films I've been watching at this stage in A24's catalog are ones I have not seen and films that I probably would have never watched if it wasn't for me doing this series, which is so cool for me because I love being able to put these videos out for people who might be interested in watching A24's catalog and who have a similar opinion in film to me that would be like, hey, this is a film that I might not have checked out before. And this was one that I really didn't know anything about previously when I first saw the poster, other than Ryan Reynolds was in it. This film ended up being way more enjoyable than I ever could have thought. And the film I'm going to be talking about today is The Captive. The Captive is directed by Atom Egoyan. 8 years after the disappearance of Cassandra, some disturbing incidents seem to indicate that she's still alive. Police, parents, and Cassandra herself will try to unravel the mystery of her disappearance. So I know Atom Egoyan has made some films that people really appreciate. I actually haven't seen anything in his catalog whatsoever, but I am a sucker for a crime drama and like a cold mystery thriller. And this film takes place in the bleak of winter, and it's very cold and dark. And this film starts off a little messy. I really can appreciate Atom Egoyan's approach to this, where the story at the beginning of the film is very non-linear. So we're jumping in different time periods throughout this family's history and also through the police force who's trying to investigate this series of events. So it's not until probably the 20-minute mark of the film that we really understand what's going on, which is that Ryan Reynolds and his wife, played by Mireille Enos, have a daughter together who ice skates with this kid. I think she's like probably like 7 or 8 from the looks of it. She's super young. And one day after practice, Ryan Reynolds goes to take her to pick up pie at this store. And they drive there, and he gets out, he goes into the pie shop, and he picks it up, and he comes out. And when he comes out, she was in the back seat and she's gone. And he runs around and he goes to look for her. Well, then we jump to the police force, who is head up by Rosario Dawson and Scott Speedman. And they run this unit who specifically looks into child trafficking and through child sex trafficking, and they talk about some really disturbing and horrible things that happen to kids and how their line of work is very much awful. And the thing is, it jumps around through the beginning of the film. You're told Rosario Dawson's character is missing, and then you jump into her hiring Scott Speedman's character, and then the two of them having a relationship. So you're kind of all over the place with the timeline of this, and I understand that it really makes for a more compelling narrative because you as a viewer are trying to kind of piece together in your brain, okay, where am I at now? What's occurring now in front of me? What's going on? And I liked elements of that. I will say that it really kind of takes its time a little too long to get you invested into that. And some of the dialogue in this film is really cheesy. It's very over the top. It's written kind of like, I don't know, if Hallmark made a crime drama at certain times, where it's just a little too schlocky, but not even in a way that comes off as funny. And the reason why, even if it was a schlocky intention, that it doesn't come off as well is because of how heavy the subject material is. Because once you find out early on what is going on with Ryan Reynolds' daughter, it's that she is literally being used to lure children into the sex trafficking ring. So it's a very dark and bleak subject matter. But because the dialogue comes off as kind of hammy at times, it doesn't always work for me. But I think the third act payoff and how the movie kind of plays along is strong enough to make this worth a watch. I think it falls kind of middle tier on my A24 list. But the cinematography in this movie is really nice, and Ryan Reynolds gives a fantastic performance. He is definitely the strongest part of this film. Rosario Dawson also does a really great job. Scott Speedman is one of those actors who I'm kind of take it or leave it with him. He does okay sometimes. This film is like a mixture of him being really good and being really like hammy, kind of, like I said, Hallmark actor level. And he kind of takes it down for me a little bit in this movie. The actress who plays the daughter when she's a little older does a really fantastic job. She's given some really hard material to work with. Obviously, if you have to like play this character who's been in a sex trafficking ring for a really long time. It's going to be very difficult to have to do that and to live through that performance, and she does a really great job with it. And it's just a really disturbing subject matter that is obviously something that still occurs to this day. Sex trafficking, especially among children, is something that's incredibly prevalent in our society, and it's horrible and it's terrible to watch. And this film conveys it for the most part in a really interesting light into like what would happen if you were a part of this and your family was directly involved. It was a really interesting narrative for the most part, and like I said, this is a film I probably wouldn't have watched otherwise. I'd seen the poster for it a couple of times, didn't know a whole lot about it. What's really interesting is A24 distributed this film, but when I watched it, I didn't actually see the place I streamed it. I didn't see their logo before it, and I went online and I was like, I gotta make sure that this is an A24 film. But if you go on their timeline, you read about it online, it is an A24 produced film that they distributed this film. I don't know if they picked up rights later compared to some of their other films that they put out, but it's definitely one in their catalog that I would check out. It's a lot stronger than a lot of the lower films on this list, and despite the flaws it had, I still enjoyed myself. So have you seen The Captive? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was really good. It was very enjoyable. It was a lot better than I would have expected, and I look forward to hearing other people's opinions on it. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.